listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast, your source for all the latest post-apocalyptic news.
Welcome back, everyone, to this 50th episode of the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I am Sean, your host, and as you can see around me, I have a couple other people who have followed me here to this podcast. And since it's the 50th episode, we decided we were going to have a little fun and try to get as many of us on as possible and just talk about some things that have been happening this whole year in post-apocalyptic media, which, I mean, there's been so much. We were kind of talking behind the scenes a little bit about what we're going to, discuss on the show. And it's just reminding us of everything that happened since we started the show. 50 episodes. We started last September, so it's been a little over a year. So we almost had an episode every week. We got pretty close. But I feel like 50 is a big milestone. And so for us to get to this point a year and 2-3 months later, I mean, it's pretty awesome. So I want to thank you guys for coming on the show and kind of, so we can talk about this stuff, because it's been a big year. Definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. 50 episodes. Holy crap.
Yeah. And 50 episodes through basically a pandemic, and a half since September of last year.
So it's never ends.
So it's been a real apocalypse and a fictional apocalypse, I guess, in many ways. But we had some great stuff happen. I was looking through the site trying to pick out and figure out what was my favorite thing. And I went through 60 some pages of the news tag.
Yeah, me too.
On the site. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, that. And so I wrote down a bunch of stuff, but it has been crazy. I mean, it's been a lot of stuff, and not only movies that were postponed from 2020, which happened a lot and were released this year, but also stuff that was kind of spawned from the pandemic, stuff that people wrote because of their experience through the beginning part of the pandemic. I mean, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. We're going to get that for the next few years, probably. So
yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and let's talk about. I kind of prompted all of you to pick your favorite things, your favorite media from the post-apocalyptic genre of the last year, and since September. I guess since we started the show. So who wants to go first?
Well, I'll go first.
Suspense.
Because all of you are graciously allowing me that opportunity. So, of course, I have to give the disclaimer that there's a lot of really good stuff that happened. And, I think some people are going to be talking about the TV shows that we've had that have been really big. And those are great. I have to acknowledge that it's been a while since I've had the excitement of a new Snowpiercer or a new C episode, and so maybe that's affecting my judgment a little bit. But this movie actually came out quite a while ago, and that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going with the Tomorrow War. That was the alien invasion movie with Chris Pratt, where they're like. They are running out of soldiers, and so they start going back in time and asking for more people to come die in the effort to save humanity. So for those of you who haven't seen it, let me just run down a little checklist of things I loved about this movie. I loved the aliens because, humans, we don't have anything to compare ourselves against, really. We have the animal kingdom, and compared to the animal kingdom, they are nothing. No animal can take on a machine gun or something like that. It's just we are so OP versus them. So when an alien has to credibly threaten the human race, it needs to be a scary alien. Otherwise, there's so many. I really don't. I'm not trying to down on zombie movies right now. However, like, I'm always wondering, like, where's the military in this situation? Like, oh,
Right.
this ragtag gang survived, but the whole military of the entire world just like couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
So, but in the Tomorrow War, we see the alien. It's not one of those things where it hides it from you the entire time. You see a good bit with the alien, and what you see is some really, really scary looking thing that's tough as nails, but believable. It's not like just a bullet sponge, but it's still tough, and it's tough to kill. It was frightening. But so that's one thing I loved about the movie. I loved how dire the circumstances were. This was even past like Starship Troopers level. Like in Starship Troopers, the aliens destroyed like a city. And of course, yeah, it's tens of millions of people die. But in the Tomorrow War, you're really looking at species extinction level problems for us. So I really love that. I got emotional a little bit in the movie when they're like begging their parents as 20-somethings to like come die in the war. And it was just like, that's how dark it is. And that's how desperate everybody is at this moment. So, I love the movie. It was great. It was a surprise because it was a straight to Netflix movie. And I would say I'm getting used to good movies coming out that way, but I wasn't when that came out. And it was just a really high quality production to go straight, bypassing the movie theaters, forget that, and straight into my living room. So that's my pick, Tomorrow War.
It's funny you say that because I know that you're a big fan of Starship Troopers, and I'm glad you mentioned it. And that did remind me a lot of that, especially the aliens, the fact that they were just unloading on these things, and they're getting hurt, but they're not dying right away, and it would take a lot to get them down. So yeah, I think that's funny, that connection. Yeah.
And the movie had a lot of humor too, of course. Chris Pratt, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny in some ways, and like Derek said, also, kind of shows some real emotion and the darkness of it, but with kind of the gallows humor aspect. So yeah, I liked it too. It was pretty good.
It was really good.
Yeah,
that's a good pick.
And I will say there is a complaint. There is a complaint because he's like learning this lesson as he goes. Like, you're supposed to just put the mission first, and allow some people to die. And it looks like he's learning that lesson. And then in the end, he still like doesn't learn the lesson. He's like, no, I won't leave until you're safe.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's like somebody wrote that progression, and then somebody else came in and was like, no, we're not going to have him do that.
This wasn't that confirmed, because they did change the ending, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
I forget what they changed about it, but yeah, that whole kind of in the movie there's sort of an extra scene sort of like stuck on the end of it, and that part was new, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. That part was new. I think we might even have a story about. Yeah, we have a story about that on our site. It I don't know. Supposedly the original ending was a lot darker, and the director didn't want to end on a super dark note. So yeah, he rewrote the ending, which was that part at the end that felt like it didn't fit.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that you mentioned that, yeah, 2 complaints about the movie.
Now we have to release the dark cut, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. It was popular
maybe it's
enough.
Just a marketing thing.
Yeah. They can, stretch out the IP by releasing the other version of it and make everybody go back and watch it again. Yeah.
Extended edition. I like that.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'd buy a Netflix subscription.
Amazon, actually, but close enough.
Close.
Yeah. Nowadays, who knows what service all these movies are on.
I'll just have Val like edit Amazon over every time I said Netflix just now.
Just the word Amazon.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Who wants to go next?
Steph, me? Okay, well, I can jump in and say, Yeah, as Derek said, there was a lot of stuff to choose from over the last year.
Yeah.
Kind of every podcast we're on, we talk about how there's so much post-apocalyptic news and how it keeps increasing, month over month, year over year. And so, in this last year, we had, multiple TV shows, multiple movies. And what I went with is a show that Derek has already briefly mentioned, and that is See, that appeared on Apple TV Plus, I guess it's called. First season was, before our deadline, but the second season did, in fact, start this past summer. So season 2 ran from August through October. So again, high-level overview of the show. Basically, we just wrapped up season 2. There have been 2 seasons of 8 episodes each. Basically, the show takes place, I think they confirmed it's 600 years in the future after a virus wipes out the majority of the population and leaves the remaining survivors and their offspring blind. And so, we pick up the story, in the far future, and I liked basically everything about it. The story's good. Jason Momoa as, the primary character. Costumes are great. Settings are great. The fight scenes are pretty intense. Again, given that this was on Apple TV Plus and, not like an AMC or, a channel where they would have had to have edited out a lot of the violence and stuff. We get the whole hog, going on. And, one of the other articles we have on our site that I put up kind of shows how the producers of the show kind of went the extra mile to make sure that the setting of the show kind of tied back into reality, so that we could really tell that it was post-apocalyptic. So basically the entire show takes place in and around the state of Pennsylvania, with many towns and cities that are brought up in the show, actual real life cities. And so you can kind of map out, where characters traveled and where certain events took place. And, in a lot of those cases, those locations can even kind of give you clues to why things happened the way they did, or, things of that sort. So, overall, it just checked all the boxes for me. Realistic, a lot of action, good acting, definitely post-apocalyptic, no doubt about it. And it's basically my favorite show of the last year or so.
Yeah, that was really good. I really enjoyed See, and I remember thinking that the season 2 finale was phenomenal. Just the plot, the way they filmed their battles. I mean, it was just so well done.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of money from somewhere. I haven't actually seen what budget numbers are like, but they're definitely putting a lot into the scenery and the costumes and everything. So definitely, if you haven't seen it yet, or not everybody has Apple TV Plus, but if you have bought an Apple device in the last year, then you have Apple TV Plus for free. Most people have, not most, but a lot of people have an iPhone or an iPad, something of that sort. That'll give it to you. Otherwise, what is it, $5 a month for Apple TV Plus?
I think it's like $8
now?
or $9. But you know what? Also, if I just found this out the other day, if you have a PlayStation 5, which not a lot of people
if you can get one,
yeah, if you can get one, you can get 6 months. You can get a 6-month trial of Apple TV Plus.
Really?
Okay. And they also have a free trial, like a 7-day trial or something too. I wrote an article about seeing the movie Finch, and I looked that stuff up, and it was like, you can see the movie for free. You can, if you can watch See in 7 days, you can watch that for free.
Just binge it. You could totally do that.
So there's 16 episodes of See so far. Sean mentioned you can actually also watch Finch. I know there's a couple other good stuff on the channel. But no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say for See, season 3 recently wrapped. So we had a long break in between season 1 and 2 because of the pandemic. It got pushed back, to over a year. But they filmed seasons 2 and 3 kind of back to back. So they just finished season 3. So hopefully that means more of an early 22 release, probably spring, I'm hoping, without having to wait until, next summer, next fall again.
Yeah, I hope so. They did such a great job in season 2 that I'm already like really looking forward to season 3 and seeing what they do.
People are halfway concerned because Jason Momoa, who again is basically the main character in C, he has been in London since the summer filming Aquaman 2, something like that. But so we're kind of wondering how much he's going to appear in season 3 of C.
That's interesting.
But he was able to film scenes, from March to something like July or August. So hopefully he filmed all the scenes then. So I definitely want to see him come back.
That's interesting. Yeah, he's like my favorite character on there. I mean, I have a couple of favorites, but he is definitely like the top one.
And there's some that you I mean, at least for me, like they're favorite because you love to hate them because they're so bad or so irritating.
And there's one
like
that's like really funny, and they give them all these like one-liners and stuff, and like, try not to spoil anything for peeps, but it's such a good season.
That season 2 finale was a kick in the pants. It was difficult with the characters that they decided to.
Yes, some of them will not be coming back. Yes.
The C is a great example of why you should keep an open mind. The pitch didn't appeal to me, even with Jason Momoa, even with it being post-apocalyptic. I was in no hurry to see it.
Me too.
And
to see it.
Sean vouched for it, and I respect Sean's opinion so much that I
pushed it and pushed it.
Yep. Yeah, and
waking
also
up to emails.
If you watch season 1, season 2 is very different because it's much more expansive. Season 1 is a lot of forests and streams. Season 2 we get towns and cities and foundries.
You can tell they got money in season 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's much bigger, more characters. More different locales that they're shooting in. So, even if you start season 1 and you don't love, kind of how restrictive it seems, just stick with it because it's only 8 episodes, and then get to season 2 and it'll expand.
That's great advice. Really
that's the way a series, generally should go. Is establish a few characters that you get a very strong connection with, and then you start to build out the universe. And I wanted to bring this up because, I'm a known fan of the alien invasion genre, and Invasion is a show that's also on Apple.
Oh, it's on Apple TV Plus. I'm curious what you're going to say about it.
Well, Bill was excited about it, and then not excited about it after he saw a few episodes.
Watched it, yeah.
I'm in the same boat. Stephanie and I got to episode 3, and I would be further along than that right now if there wasn't so much post-apocalyptic television on my plate.
Yeah.
So, we're keeping up with the Walking Dead series and some animes and some non-post-apoc stuff like Lock and Key. So, we don't have a ton of extra time for a show that isn't really great. And so far, Invasion is not great. They are only focusing on the character development.
Yeah.
The bigger plot is almost entirely ignored.
Yeah, it's moving slow. And I was like, there's some scenes where I'm like, really? Like, why are we spending this much time on this when we could have condensed it into 5 minutes and I would have totally gotten the significance anyway?
Yeah, and I read a review that basically said the whole first season is like that.
No.
It never pays off. It's just all set up. So I'll let you guys watch it. Next year we'll come back, and if it's on somebody's favorite list, I'll give it a try, but if not,
that's so sad. I was like excited about it, and it reminded me a little bit of I used to play around writing screenplays, and I wrote one that kind of had a similar theme, and I was just like, oh, I'm so interested to see how this idea plays out, when someone actually did it, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So
maybe
sad.
season 2 will be better.
You're talking about characters in C, and you're talking about ones who kind of annoy you a little bit. For me, it was a Queen, and I don't want to give too much away, but I just recently started watching Raised by Wolves, and I swear Mother is the same character, like the way Mother talks and the way the Queen, it's the same. And I'm like, did they go to the same like acting school or what? It's so weird. But that's not my pick, Raised by Wolves, but that is a really good show. I really
that is too.
Yeah, I didn't pick that either, but Raised by Wolves is really
Was that
good.
only in the last year? Or I thought it felt longer ago than that.
It might have been.
It might have been longer.
It was longer ago.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, season 2 is supposed to be someday, right?
Yeah, it should be. I hope so.
I'm sure we have an article about it on the site somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
If Kubrick can make it that far.
Really popular in just its first season. Like, I wrote some articles about it, and I was really impressed with the interest and the views that we got on it, which really shows that there's quite a big audience very interested in Raised by Wolves. So I am hoping that they bring that back soon. It was good.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Oh, no, it wasn't Kubrick. It was Ridley Scott.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But he's ancient. Like, get going on it because we need to get that story. Yeah. I love Raised by Wolves. I also hated it, but I didn't hate it. Like, it's painful. It's a painful show to watch, and I'll just leave it at that for potential watchers of that show. Okay, so while we were on Apple TV, I wanted to point out we got Invasion, C, Finch, and then non-post-apoc offerings that are interesting to people. There's the Coach show. What's that?
Yeah. The Coach. Is that Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso.
Ted something.
Foundation's on Apple TV, right?
Oh, Foundation. Yeah.
We're covering that right now. It's so freaking good.
Oh,
and
is it? I hadn't heard that before.
It's really good.
What? Yeah, and what's the other show, Sean? The one that's about the MMO?
Oh, Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest.
That's a good show. Yeah, it's very like you have to know about MMOs to get a lot of the jokes, but it's really good.
Oh, that sounds cool. And I forget, is For All Mankind, is that Apple TV Plus?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I saw the season 1 of that. That was really good.
That was good.
Alternate history, space race, where U.S. and Russia both have outposts on the moon. This is probably in the 70s, 80s kind of thing. I don't know what happens in season 2, but yeah, it's really good.
I watched season 2, and I won't get, all I'll say is it keeps moving forward in time, and so that makes it pretty interesting. Like, it has a time jump. So, and they say that's what's going to happen for season 3 also, so it's pretty good.
But yes, Apple TV Plus, very worthwhile.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. Now, what's who's next?
Is it my turn? We'll let Sean go last. And I was debating between 2, so we'll see if Sean says my other one. And if he doesn't, I'll throw in a kudos to it at the end.
Okay. Yeah, I have a guess as to what you're... Well, actually, now I take it back. I don't know if you're going to go with the obvious one, or if you're going to go with the...
Do you want to just guess?
Well, the obvious one would be Attack on Titan.
Yes!
Yeah. That's
my choice!
Yeah.
That's my choice. Attack on Titan. It is coming back January 9th. I am counting down the days. I'm going to do a countdown probably on our site soon because I am counting down the days. So freaking good. Like, there's not a lot you can say about it without getting into spoiler territory because it just changes so much as the seasons go. But it's amazing. It is probably, in my opinion, among the best TV out there. It is just so good. So good. And I'm like not saying much.
And is the upcoming season like a final season, or does it just continue?
No, it's the end. It's the second half of season 4, and it is the final season. The manga has completed, and I'm not reading ahead on the manga because I just want to experience it for the first time on the anime. but I've been told that the ending is controversial.
So
that'll be interesting. Yeah.
Whatever the last season that aired was, I had thought that was the end or was about to be the end, so I started watching it because I wanted to go ahead and be able to finish the whole thing all at once. But I got as far as season 2, season 3, and I stopped because it wasn't in fact the end. But yeah, so now that it really is ending, I'll probably wait. And that season is going to last for what, 2, 3, 4 months?
That's what I'm thinking. I think it's going to be like, what do you think, Derek? 10, 12 episodes? 12 episodes or more, maybe? I'm totally guessing. That is a complete guess. And you were confused about it because we all were. When season 4 first started, none of us were sure if it was going to end, if that last episode was the finale or not. And most people were saying there's no way because there's a lot more in the manga to illustrate. And we actually didn't know it was continuing until they told us when the episode ended. So, yeah, a lot of people thought that was the end. And even when I was sharing it in our Facebook page, there were some people who didn't believe me at first, and they were like, "Don't lie to me! Why are you lying?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. It really is continuing."
Okay, but yeah, so I'll probably start the whole thing over again. After it finally ends, and then I'll just watch it all through at one time because it is on Hulu. Is that where I'm watching it?
Yeah. Okay. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, a few things for people who have not watched Attack on Titan and are just wondering about it. It is an anime, and Stephanie mentioned it's based on a manga. And if you don't know what manga means, that's a comic book, right?
Japanese.
It's like an illustrated comic.
Yeah.
So a few things to keep in mind. First of all, it's originally recorded in Japanese. Then there's an English dub. So you have the option of reading subtitled Japanese or the English, and there's pros and cons of each. So let me just say this. There is a character named Armin, and you get introduced to Armin in the first episode, and I think Armin is in every single episode from there on out, close to it. Armin, in the English translation, is the whiniest character of any show. He just whines. I don't know what is going to happen. It's just nonstop. That was the only acting direction they got. So that really bothered me because, Armin's character, like the things he's saying aren't as whiny as the way it's being delivered. And that only came across when I watched it in the Japanese, and the actor didn't have that same philosophy on that character. So there's pros and cons, when it comes to who should voice these different characters. But just try to keep that in mind. Just cut Armin a little bit of slack, and I think it'll be an easier journey for you. Any other tips, Steph?
I always wonder why people are always screaming so much, but I guess that's just an anime thing.
Where's the water? They're just, it doesn't matter how mundane it is.
Yeah, there are some moments where you're like, what? Yeah. You can watch it on Hulu, Funimation, or Crunchyroll. Funimation had, isn't it Funimation right now, Derek, that has all of the dubs? It has it dubbed all the way through to the last episode so far. Hulu has not gotten, Hulu is dubbed all the way through. Is Hulu dubbed? I don't think the dubs have shown up on Hulu yet. I think
Hulu watched the dubs.
I was going to say for the last half, half season. Yeah, the dubs are all there except I think maybe the last half season they don't have the dubs yet. But, or at least they were really far behind. But I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Anyway, if you're watching on Hulu and you get to season 4 and you don't see the dubs, then just hop on over, and that's your preference, then just hop on over to Funimation because they'll be there. I can't recall if they've been added yet or not to Hulu. And it's great. If you're listening and you haven't watched it, do it. Do it right now.
It's anime, so one thing I've learned about anime is they really want to talk about philosophy. Mm-hmm. And a so lot. You're going to get that. If you want that, Attack on Titan may be for you. If you don't, then it might not be, because there's going to be a hefty dose of what if we thought of it from the other side's perspective and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I just watched the first 2 episodes, I think, of season 1, and it was the dubbed. And I just, like you said, that whiny kid, I'm like, I can't really do this anymore.
You just watched the first 2 episodes?
Yeah.
You've got to get beyond that. I mean, it gets really good, but you have to get beyond that because, I watched the first episode a couple years ago and dropped it. And I was like, I wasn't excited about it. And then during the pandemic, I picked it back up. I watched it again with Derek, and totally different. Got through after the first 3 episodes, I was hooked. So
yeah, here's another thing about it is you have to focus on memorizing the characters' names. I know it sucks to give you homework when you're watching a show, but they're gonna introduce 10 characters right off the bat, and 3 of them look identical. They're drawn similarly, so it's really hard right at the jump of the gun. But
it's true.
But on the bright side, once you learn those 10, then it has a normal pace of introducing characters, and you can learn their names. But you'll have to focus on it just a little bit.
That's so true. And I had the same problem when I first started watching Game of Thrones, because I hadn't read the books yet. And the characters were overwhelming for me to keep up with at first. But then, once you've got that down, it really helps a lot.
Yeah. I think actually the show was easier to keep track of the characters in Game of Thrones than the book.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, the books were crazy.
That's true.
Okay, then. It wouldn't have helped me. Got it.
Well, for my pick, I actually picked a couple things because I didn't know, how we were going to do this. But I would say my number one is something that I knew none of you would pick. It's very personal to me. Is the rebirth of Fallen Earth. Fallen Earth is a game that I played heavily, in 2000. Well, I was in it, I guess 2008, and then it was launched in 2009, and then I played it till probably 2013 or so, and then it got really crazy where they had this. It was all PvP, and they would. I actually took a screenshot, and I wish I could find it, of me standing in this room. I was at my bank in the game, and I'm going through my stuff, and this person walks up next to me, and they had a neon bright shirt and rainbow pants, and they had a bunny hat, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna screenshot this because I'm done with this game. This game is ridiculous. It went from a Mad Max, really gritty game to just, I don't know why, it just turned into this really crazy bright thing where people would they dyed their clothes in these neon colors, and they would just jump on people, and it's just weird, just this weird thing. So I got away from the game at that point, and it was just a totally different game. It was all cash shop. They had Gamers First bought it from the original developers, and they turned it into a free to play game because it was $14.99 a month.
Oh, wow.
For at first, when it first came out, everything was back then. And then Gamers First, right around 2000, I guess 11, 12, everything was going free to play, but with a cash shop. So they would say, it's free, but if you want to play, if you want to set up your crafting queue more than 3 slots, you have to pay. If you want to do this, if you want to access this area, you have to pay. And it's well, I'd rather just pay $14.99 a month and then get all that
exactly
stuff.
Yeah,
which they actually had that option. It's called the Commander status. So I don't know, it was getting a little ridiculous with the cash shop stuff, so I quit playing. But all that said, it was sold. Gamers First sold it to a company called Last Orbit, and Last Orbit opened it back up. And it's just a couple. I think it's just a couple people. It's not a huge developer. They opened it back up to the public last month, and they said everyone gets Commander status. Everyone gets full access to everything, and it's completely free. because what they're doing is they're testing it. They want to see it with the interest. They want to see how much, they're not saying it's going to be free forever. I think that's a point that a lot of people, maybe missed, but they're kind of testing it out because they are working on a sequel, and they want to see the interest in this one. They actually brought it back to, I don't know what point exactly, but they brought it, the code and everything back a couple years. So it's not the way it was when it first was shut down in 2019. Yeah, it was shut down in 2019, and it was just a completely different game. So they brought it back a little bit.
Wow.
And I like that part of it. I could go on and on about this because the game itself has so much sentimental value for me. I played it with, some of my best friends. We played it together. Some of my best friends that I have now that we play all the games together. This was one of our first games that we ever played together in 2008. This is a funny story. I may have told this already. I don't remember. I actually proposed to my wife while we were playing this game, while we were playing Fallen Earth.
Wow.
We weren't in the game, but we were in the same room.
You're like, hey, honey, you want to get married?
Yeah.
Hold on a minute, guys.
It's exactly. We were playing it, and I had planned to do it, and then we started playing this game, and I was like, I'm so distracted while I'm playing the game, because I was like, I was going to propose to her tonight. We were supposed to go somewhere, and the plans got canceled. So we started playing Fallen Earth. That's what happened, and it was actually New Year's Eve. So it was New Year's Eve 2011, 2010 to 2011, and we so our plans changed, and we're sitting there at home playing Fallen Earth on New Year's Eve. And I'm like, I'm not going to postpone this anymore. So I was like, hold on. And her desk is right over there. And I just proposed to her. And then we went back playing Fallen Earth.
Oh my gosh.
That is a special woman you got there.
Of course. Yeah.
You can purchase the DLC if you just got engaged.
Yeah.
Get the Commander pack for a month.
Yeah, that's a whole different level.
Wow.
But yeah, so I mean, it's funny. To tell that story and to think about the game, having that much kind of sentimental value and everything. And then they brought it back, and it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I've been, and once I got back into it too, I just remembered all the things I loved about it. It's a janky game. The graphics are not the best. The server issues are really bad, but it is a fun game. It's the crafting system is amazing. I can't even really describe it, but I've actually been live streaming it a lot on our channel. If anyone wants to see me play it, but it's a fun game.
Yeah, I feel like you can leverage your engagement story into getting us some special access with the
right.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you should be in the commercial. You too can find a gamer wife.
What's funny? I actually have another story about. So when they first started, the game first came out, it was under this indie company called Icarus Studios, and they're out of Cary, North Carolina, and that's not too far from me. Maybe like 5-6 hours away, but relatively not too far. And I was pretty new at my job at Massively, and I had gone to local, because I live in the South, and there aren't a lot of development studios here. They're all in California. So there was one in Atlanta. They made a game called Global Agenda back then. And I went there and I interviewed and I went there, did a studio tour. And I'm like, I want to do that more. I want to find more of these local studios. So I found out about this new game coming out called Fallen Earth, and they were in North Carolina. So my wife and I drove there. This is before she was my wife.
Is this your honeymoon? Oh, no.
This is when she was just my girlfriend, and we went there, and they gave us a full studio tour. They showed us everything. It was amazing, and the people were it was just an indie company. It was like maybe 30 people worked there, I guess, and a lot of those people I actually am still friends with through like Facebook, stuff like that. Acquaintances, I guess. But yeah, it was such a great little homey kind of feel to their studio, and they were so accommodating. It was really great. Actually, even the PR person we hung out with, because we stayed there, and so we hung out with the next day. We went to like a beer festival, and we did all this stuff. It was awesome. Yeah, it was just a really cool group of people. But unfortunately, they sold it, so all those people weren't working there anymore. And a lot of those people, though, went to go work on Elder Scrolls Online, which is pretty cool. Yeah, there's some of the main developers went to go work there. But
interesting.
But yeah, it was. I have so many little stories like that about that company. I really like those guys. It's cool.
That's neat.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I have the game installed. I guess the day or within a few days when it launched, I fired it up and I walked around for a little bit. But yeah, maybe I'll get back into it and try and learn how things work and stuff.
Yeah, it's a deep game.
When I was supposed to be studying for the bar exam, I set up a 3-monitor system, and I just, I have this thing where it's like I just want to know if I can do it sometimes. Yeah. And so I was like, can I get a field of view that makes it to where I'm in the Fallen Earth place? So I downloaded these mods and got a full field of view, and what I found was by having those monitors, I could essentially see behind me. And it gave me an unfair advantage whenever I was engaged in combat.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's neat.
But Fallen Earth was pretty. I mean, it was pretty cutting edge at that time. That was 2012 ish. Mm-hmm. So for it to have support, I guess it was probably unofficial support, but it was at least built in enough to where you could have a very wide field of vision if you had the right hardware. So I was impressed with that. I really enjoyed playing the game. I haven't played the Rebirth yet, but it was really fun. I thought it had a lot of potential. I definitely was late to the game. People, there wasn't many people as low level as me going through it, but that was fine too, because there were a few main quests that there were still lines for, essentially, and you had to wait for the guy to come back to life before you could kill him and finish your quest.
Yeah, that was it. It's funny, the game, you talk about the innovation of it. It really had some things that were kind of pushing the envelope at that time. One of them was the whole thing is one server, so you don't have to worry about finding your friends on their server and find out which server they play on. And then there's not instancing. There's not a lot of instancing where like World of Warcraft, they used to have this thing where you entered different areas and then there'd be a loading screen, and then you'd have to load into that area. Well, they changed that, they fixed that, but Fallen Earth at that time was really innovative to be able to just have this world you can just explore. You just go on and on and on. And they also tried first-person shooter view, where you could zoom all the way in, and you can see your hands in front of you, and you can do kind of a first-person shooter thing. I don't know if that really worked that well, but for MMOs, no one had really done it at the time. So they tried a few things, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they were the first, and then Defiance came along several years later and had a great first-person shooter kind of a game going on as well.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that didn't stick around I guess it stuck around for a lot longer than I played it. It just, my life situation changed, and I wasn't able to play it anymore.
Yeah, so that was my big thing.
Favorite thing of the year,
excitement. Huh? Yeah. And it just happened.
Yeah, it's only within the last month, right? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so I think that'll probably do it for this show. We're at about 45 minutes here, and but I want to thank you all for coming on. This was great. This is a lot of fun. This is a lot better than me just talking to myself on the podcast, right?
Yeah, I want to just real quick, since you didn't mention it, also just give a kudos shout out to Finch, the movie.
Oh yeah,
really really good.
I like that too.
That was really great. If you're watching this and you haven't seen Finch, well, we already clued you in on to how to access Apple TV, so give it a try.
Yeah. Why did none of us pick Finch? What happened? What happened?
Oh,
to
we
that?
could only pick one. I did have it on my list.
Yeah, I had it on mine too. It was number 2.
Yeah. I had Dune as number 2 on mine.
I'm so glad you mentioned Dune. That was so good too.
Yeah. If we had ranked choice voting, maybe things would have.
Yes,
come out
that's true.
Next time.
Yeah.
Well, tune in December. We're going to release our second annual Boomy Awards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe Finch wins. I think it's not out of the. You may think because none of us picked Finch that it's not in the running, but it is. It is very much in the running. It's
yes.
this dude.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. We'll have to do this again for that show. Get together and talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. Well, thanks everyone again for coming on. Thanks everyone for listening. And this, we're actually going to start going to more of just an audio format after this. This is kind of like our grand finale for the video, because we have the Post-Apocalyptic Minute, that video with Val. So we're kind of focusing on that for the video, and then this is going to go more just audio. Maybe we'll do a couple, come back for some videos here and there. But as far as a regular format, we'll do audio only for the podcast, right? So
nice.
So you can look for that. And again, thanks everyone for watching. And Derek, you want to say your famous line?
Yes. Everybody out there, be safe and always be ready for the big one.
Yes.
Take it easy, y'all.
Bye.